Hey guys, today we're going to be testing out the Oupes Mega 1 power station. So this is a 2500 watt pure sine wave AC output power station. It has 2 kilowatt hours of storage in it and it weighs just around 49 pounds. So it is, I would say it's still portable power unit. It's something that you can move from room to room fairly easily. You can easily toss it in a car and take it somewhere as well. So this power station can be charged by a wall outlet at a rate of 1500 watts, but it also can be charged by solar with a maximum of 2100 watts. Now what I think one of the better features of the Oupes power stations is the expandability. This unit can use up to 4 expansion batteries and you can get up to 10 kilowatt hours of storage on this unit if you wanted to max it out. And the other cool thing is the expansion batteries have their own solar charger built into them. So you can charge this with 2100 watts of solar. If you had an expansion battery, you could be charging it with 2100 watts of solar as well. In fact, you could unplug the battery, you could take it outside, charge it with solar while you're still using this on the inside. So I think that's kind of a neat feature that you could actually swap out batteries and be charging them with solar while you're still using the power station. Most other power stations, you have to have the battery plugged in and you have to charge it from the main unit. So I do think that that's one of the unique features about Oupes that makes it kind of stand out. So as we look at the front of the unit, you can see the battery percent of charge and you can see the estimated time until the battery is dead. Of course, this time will change as your wattage you're using goes up. Of course, right now we're not powering anything up with this, but we got 4 regular wall outlets. You actually have a 30 amp 120 volt RV plug, and then you have your 12 volt outlet here as well, and you have a 30 amp 12 volt outlet up here, this Anderson connector, and then 6 USB ports. So as we look at the left hand side, you have a cover that opens up, and this is where you have your AC charging port, and then this is also your DC charging port where you can charge with solar or charge from the 12 volt outlet in your vehicle. And on the right hand side, you have where the expansion battery plugs in. So this would plug into one expansion battery, and of course it plugs into the next. And the next, you can put 4 of them roughly in series to be able to expand the battery on this. So Oupes did send us this power station so that we can review it and do some testing on it. And I've had it for a few days now, and I do have a few tests done already. So let's go ahead and jump to the testing phase. All right, it's 9:40 in the evening, and we have just plugged in the freezer into the Oupes Mega 2, and we've got the energy monitor on it. We'll find out exactly how long it'll run a freezer. All right, the Mega 2 has now turned off, and it ran this freezer till 10:58 p.m. the next day, so 25 hours and 18 minutes. So the Mega 2 powered my upright freezer for, 25 hours and 18 minutes. I don't think that was too bad. And then we also monitored the power. So when we look at this app, you can see Friday night how much it did, and then you can see what it did all day Saturday. So you add those two together, and it was able to use 1.37 kilowatt hours of the battery. So that means in the course of over 25 hours, it was able to utilize 67.8% of the battery. So that means that kind of the overall efficiency of it is about 68% for this power station. So the other 32% was used to power up the power station for that time period, and it was lost in the conversion from the battery to AC voltage. There's always going to be a conversion loss when you switch from DC to AC. So after I did the freezer test, I plugged it into a regular wall outlet so that it could recharge, and it went from 0 to 100% in an hour and a half. So right now we're doing a self-consumption test. So we've had it powered up, and we've had the AC outlets on as well. And over a period of 3 hours, we have lost 6% state of charge. So if you leave this on with the AC outlets on, you can probably expect about 2% of an hour for it to just to stay powered up. 1800 watt microwave. So we're at 93%, and it says it'll run for 56 minutes. So if it was fully charged, you'd probably get just around an hour's worth of cooking out of this in a microwave. And say each meal is an average of 5 minutes, that's about 20 meals you could cook on this on one charge. So now we're running an air fryer. It's the same wattage, about 1800 watts, so you would get about an hour's worth of run time out of this air fryer. Now say it takes you, counting the warm-up time and the time it would take to cook your food, say it takes about 15 minutes a meal, you're gonna end up with about 4 meals out of an air fryer on this charge. So obviously the microwave is probably the better choice. So if the Mega 2 can power up, a microwave and an air fryer, should be able to power up most of your household items that you're going to use during a power outage. So if you have maybe some lighting that you want to plug in, maybe you have the TV you want to use, you want to plug in your, Starlink router and have some internet, it'll be able to do all of those things because they're smaller loads. So the real challenge for power stations is to start items like motors and compressors that have a really high surge and need a lot of energy really quick to get started. So that would translate into like power tools, maybe air compressors, maybe air conditioners if you wanted to run a window air conditioner. So we're going to go ahead and try some of the tougher loads and we're going to see how this performs. So this is a 2 horsepower mill drill and it is 120 volts. I'm going to try it. Starts up. I'm going to drill a 3/8 hole. And we did. All right, we're going to plug in an 8,000 BTU air conditioner. In fact, I think it's actually 8,050 BTUs. But this is a compressor and it will be hard to start, okay? Well, the fan's running. I don't think the compressor is. Hold on. Let me turn it down. Well, it's set at 64 and that's the lowest it'll go. If I can put my hand on this thermocouple and heat it up. There, she kicked on. It's running. I had to warm up the thermocouple with my hand to get it to kick on, but it's running. So it's running the air compressor. I feel cooler air coming out. So it did start it. So here's my 1.5 horsepower compressor. This is usually really hard for these power stations to start. All right, so I've let the air out of this till it's just under 100 pounds. And so it's going to try to start up under a load. This is going to be difficult. Here it goes. No go. And this is a really tough thing to start for a power station. I think I have tested this on like 5 different types of power stations or 5 different ones, and it's only been able to be started consistently with one of those. So this is definitely a difficult load. All right, clear our air. To clear the air, I just had to hit the AC button once, and then I have to hit it a second time, and it will come back on. Well, we're down to 0 pounds of pressure in here. It's an empty tank now. We'll try it one more time. There we go. Well, once it got it started, it did go all the way up to 150 PSI, but it had to be empty for it to start. So compressors are probably the hardest thing to start on these low frequency inverters. If you're wanting to run an air compressor off of something like this, you're going to have to get one of them smaller pancake compressors, something probably down to around 3/4 horsepower motor on it, something about half this size. You'd probably have better luck. So now I'm going to go ahead and do a output test on this. I'm going to try to push it to the maximum till it trips out. We can see how high it gets. All right, we got one heat gun full blast. Oh yeah, you can adjust the wattage with the back of this. Oh, I like that. I didn't realize that you could turn the back of these and then the wattage will actually increase. We're over 2,000. We're over 2,200, 2,300. So we're just around 2,300 watts. I'm gonna turn this up a little bit more. 2,400 watts hit it. I have to keep turning it up. Over 2,500 watts right there. All right, now we're over 2,500 watts. We're for a little bit. Oh, we hit over 2,600 watts and it finally turned off, but we were above 2,500 watts, so we did the max output. And I will say that I didn't know that you could adjust. I thought this was like a vent, but obviously this is adjusting how many watts this gun uses, so that actually makes it where you can dial it in to what the wattage you want is. That's not too bad. So after all my tests on the Oupes Mega 2, it basically passed all the tests. I think it performed well. It just didn't start the 1.5 horsepower air compressor, which is actually the norm. I don't expect it to start that. That's kind of one of them almost impossible loads that I like to kind of throw at it just to see if it can achieve it. But yeah, it seemed to perform well when I was starting some of these motors like the saws. I could tell that they do spin up a little bit slower, so the voltage on here, I'm assuming the voltage does dip a little bit when it has those surges, but does that really matter if it starts the saw and it works fine? And it did start all of these power tools. It did run everything in the house, and it ran the freezer for over a day. So I think overall this one actually, I think it performed fairly well. So one other thing about Oupes that they do that I like is they do have the Oupes Help, and that is where they give away 5% of their sales. They give away in power stations to people in need. Now I'm sure they're giving away a lot of these things, especially after these hurricanes that we've had go through here. But if you're in need of a power station and you cannot afford it, you can always go to Oupes Help and you can try to put in an application and see what happens. They may end up sending you one of these power stations for free. Now right now, Oupes is running the Black Friday sale. I think they got a pre-sale going on right now through the 19th, and then I think they got a Black Friday sale that's going to go through the beginning of December. But it's probably some of the best prices of the year if you're looking at buying one of these Oupes power stations. Well guys, I think that wraps up all our testing on the Oupes Mega 2. I think my only really critique of this unit would be, it has like a 30 amp RV plug on the front, and I think that misleads a lot of people. They think they can get a full 30 amps out of this plug, and a 20 amp receptacle, which is right there, is 2,400 watts, and this is 2,500 watts. So you're only gonna get maybe 21 amps out of this 30 amp plug. So I think that misleads some people. It does give you the capability to directly plug in that type of connector, that if you have that plug. But it is misleading. I think some people think that they're going to have the full 30 amps to be able to run their camper, and that's not going to be the case. In fact, you're only going to get 100 more watts out of this receptacle than you are the one beside it. But other than that, with my few days of testing, I really can't come up with too many other things to complain about. It actually turned out better than I thought it did, or thought it would. But anyway, guys, I think that's going to be it for this video. I'll leave links to this down below. If I end up having some type of coupon code or something like that, I'll put a link below as well. I don't think I will. I think it's just going to be their Black Friday sale that's going on right now. But I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.